What is up, guys? Look, basically, I'm going to cut right to the chase. It is very apparent to people who are not hardcore leftists that the Democratic Party and the surrounding ethos that is the Democratic Party, leftism essentially, has just gone completely mad. I made a video, Democrats Enough is Enough, a little while ago, to The Breakfast Club. And I said, you need to self-correct. The Democrat Party needs to self-correct. You can't project, you can't blame shift, and of course there's been no self-correction. They're like a box of fireworks that somebody drove by and just threw a match into, and they're just firing every direction. The party is in total demise. The Hail Marys they've tried have not worked. It is something to see. You have major Democratic senators going out there and telling people to hunt down opposition. They feel as though they're justified. They come up with these scenarios to morally justify their behavior. And of course, the catalyst to set this fever pitch, foaming at the mouth, new season, if you will, of leftist madness is the meme, and it was a political, calculated meme that Trump, big, mean, fascistic Trump, is ripping children personally. Is ripping children from the arms of illegal immigrant parents. This form of immigration enforcement has been going on far, far beyond Trump. Trump is serious about it, but this has been going on far beyond Trump. And by the way, the Democratic Party, for the love of God, does not care about children. They don't care about children during gun violence. They don't care about children at the border. They care about using children. They don't care about illegal immigrants either. They care about using illegal immigrants. It's a recognition of desperation. What the Democrat Party essentially does is when they start talking about children, and when they start quoting Bible verses, this means they're outnumbered. Democracy is not breaking their way. And this is the equivalent of some quarterback in the fourth quarter with a minute left on the clock just throwing Hail Marys at the end zone. That's what they're doing. Did you hear a peep from these same people who are pulling their hair out in dismay? Did you hear a peep about them with 50,000 migrant children were housed in warehouses under Barack Obama? That was advertised. People knew about that one. And why did that happen, by the way? Because Barack Obama advertised that there was going to be this amnesty for young people. So thousands of parents sent their children, sometimes shockingly young children, unattended, flooding the border. Again, easily researched if you want. No, you didn't hear any concern about this. Huge warehouses of children. God only knows what kind of Lord of the Flies situation's going on there. I remember it because I was a Clear Channel talk radio show host at the time, and the Democratic Party didn't give two craps in the wind. Why? Because there was no political expedient ends to a means. And they don't care about these children either. The last two administrations before Trump, this crap's been going on. They didn't care about it. This is why you hear about it now. The Democrat Party is losing on immigration. Trump is serious. He's serious about it. And here's the dirty little secret. The American people support that. The American people support that. Trump was very transparent about that goal during the election. You don't have to like it. And you can come up with all these, horrible Annie-like situations in your mind to justify your ridiculous, sore loser-like outbursts, and you're justified in doing whatever, not recognizing an election or disturbing 200 plus years of democracy or treating women. By the way, it's always women in the Trump administration that get abused. Do you ever notice that? It's always women. It's Sarah Huckabee, or it's always the women. It's always the women. So the party of women is always, well, let's just say they're not that great to women, that don't bark off whatever orthodoxy they're supposed to bark off. It's not something that has gone unnoticed in my mind, but they're very emotionally connected to this rhetoric that's coming out, this extremely hyperbolic rhetoric. And by the way, if a nation or a system that takes people who break laws away from their children is barbaric, which, is the latest line from the left, then every Western democracy, and heck, I mean, every justice system, if you even want to call it that, from every culture, who convicts anybody who has children of a crime and then throws said person in prison, is separating them, wrenching them, tearing them from the arms of their children. That's a fact. You want to talk about something that actually is real? What about all these people, mainly minorities, are getting tossed in prison for a dime bag or something like that? The federal government just tossing people in prison. The Democrat Party, by the way, putting those policies in place, calling them super villains and super predators, and throwing predominantly black men in prison for smoking a little weed. You don't think they're getting wrenched from their children by the thousands, the hundreds of thousands? Give me a break. Look, here's and by the way, that Hail Mary did not work. Trump's poll numbers are up. And Trump immediately, the second he can do anything about it, he signs an executive order to stop it. But Brock, he only did that once there was a fuss made. Yeah, but he went to the Democratic Party and he said, let's make a deal on immigration. And they said, we won't make a deal with you. Trump, we won't make a deal with you. Why? Because immigration is illegal immigration is the Democrat Party's bread and butter. Let me break this down for you. They don't care one bit about children. They care about votes. They care about dependency classes, slave classes, and votes. That's what the Democratic Party has been about for a lot longer than any of us have been alive. Dependency grows government. Growing government is good for the Democratic Party. That's a fact. Have you ever driven through Napa Valley, California? I encourage you to do this. Drive through Napa Valley, or drive through any agricultural region in the United States of America, and look out into those fields if there's workers on that field. It's pretty startling how often the skin of those people, if not every time, is brown. And one might say that if they were to time travel, I mean, I'm talking way back beyond Jim Crow. I'm talking back into cotton-picking, owning human beings. Those fields would look an awful lot like they do in Northern California. Brown-skinned, underclass people dependent on the Democratic Party. That's what the fuss is about. Democrats are losing immigration. You have a President Donald Trump that is serious about immigration. If you get serious about immigration, the Democrats cannot use that as a wedge issue. The Democrats cannot bludgeon the American people with it. The Democrats are deprived of dependency. There is nothing immoral about a sovereign nation having a border. There is nothing immoral about enforcing existing immigration laws. Nothing immoral. I don't care what hyperbolic, half-wits on MSNBC are feigning tears about. I don't care about that nonsense. Nobody conservative or otherwise, nobody wants to see a parent ripped from their children. And to run around acting like people want that, first of all, it's intellectually dishonest. It's intellectually dishonest, but you probably warped yourself into thinking somehow that, there's this big constituency of people, Republicans, Nazis, white supremacists, whatever the latest term is on the Democratic Party for their opposition today, and they're all just running around wanting to rip children from their parents. It's a bunch of nonsense. It's a bunch of nonsense. No, what the American people want, what conservatives, libertarians, and crossover Democrats that are never going back to an economically dead leftist party want is the border to be sealed. They act as though they have some real estate dominance on morality just in general because they're leftists. They don't do anything. Most of these people that are hyperventilating right now. They wouldn't do anything. They wouldn't get off their couch and go anywhere and do anything. They call up Republican senators and threaten to kill their children, which, by the way, is going on now. They'll do stupid nonsense like that, but they won't actually go do anything. And they don't. And nobody wants to do the heavy lifting, the thinking about any issues anyway. They just want to shout out nonsense. Republicans want to take kids from illegal immigrants. They don't want to actually think through things. Leftist policies in South America at large that are actually causing this problem anyway. Hemorrhaging people from these hellhole countries that implement big government corruption, leftism. Venezuela's got breadlines and violence by pretty much implementing word for word, but Bernie Sanders is mouth puppeting, to clueless millennials. Just ridiculousness. Then the economics get so bad, and some of these countries are natural resource rich. There's no reason for this, and the American people are just supposed to inherit this, especially in the wake of what we see with huge immigration problems in Europe, Western Europe at large. No, there's nothing immoral about having a border. There's nothing immoral about having laws. The Democrats try to make this about everything but what it's actually about. Illegal immigration, full stop, period. That's what it's about. It's not about any of your hyperbolic nonsense. And what that's meant to do is distract people so that you don't have to look down the barrel of the gun of the issue, which is illegal immigration, period. And Trump ran. You cannot argue that Trump was not completely transparent about what he wanted to do. And here's a little cold glass of water in the reality face, leftists. He won. You need to self-correct. You don't need to threaten people at restaurants or picket their houses. No, because they intellectually disagree with you. They politically disagree with you, which makes them monsters, fascists. By the way, you cannot be a fascist if you want to shrink government. It makes no sense. The left is full of crap. They're full of crap. You know what's fascistic tendencies? Leftism. Leftism wants to control things, wants to shut down speech, wants to silence opposing ideas. Trump just doesn't agree with leftism. That's not a crime. That doesn't make somebody a Nazi. That doesn't mean any of the crap they're trying to say. It just means the Democrats are losing politically. And when Democrats lose politically, it's hysterics. It's 2-year-olds in a grocery store aisle. That's what it is. And largely because they're emotive and they do not understand cognitively that they need to self-correct. They need new ideas. Your ideas lost. Your ideas suck. Trump is winning, and they're sick of it. And this is going to be the latest fit they're going to throw. Kennedy is now stepping down from the Supreme Court. They stole our seat. They stole our seat. Or gerrymandering, or voting registrations, or just project nonsense. First of all, they didn't steal anybody's seat. There's a far lasting precedent that you don't get to cram in judges in the last home stretch of your administration. That's Republican and Democrat across the board. And again, can be factually researched. You don't want it. It goes down like poison into the mouth, into the leftist mouth, especially since the Supreme Court just gave you a ruling which says, again, of course everybody knew this, Trump was constitutionally sound, watertight, when he says that he wants to limit immigration in the form of radicalized nations. And he only wanted to do that until he could get hold on things, just completely reasonable in the face of the terror that we face, completely reasonable. And the American people wanted it. That's why he won. There'll be a blood sport fight in the Senate over the nomination, and McConnell will use the nuclear option, which he did with the last justice. And the left will be like, oh my gosh, unprecedented. And they won't tell you that the reason the nuclear option even is on the table is because Harry Reid. No, it was the Democrat Party that did that, to stock judges, to cram appellate courts across the United States with leftist judges. Look it up. It was Harry Reid. And everybody, including myself, again, once this Pandora's box is opened, you're never going to shut it again. There's supposed to be gridlock. You're supposed to fight. But no, Harry Reid. I might even find it before I upload this video. I'm going to find it and let you listen to him go on and on smugly. No, it's about time we use this nuclear option, Harry Reid said. So he did. Put it in the table. It's not going back in the box. It's not going back in the box once that's out. So the chickens basically come home to roost, but the left will act like that didn't even happen. Just like they do with this illegal immigration enforcement consequence with the families. Oh no, it's just hocus pocus. All of a sudden. Granted, we were yawning for decades while this was going on under Democrat administrations, but hocus pocus, Trump is Hitler. Ridiculous. And most people are not buying it. And it's got to be, and you're going to only see leftism get more and more rabid. Because this illegal immigration Hail Mary, which they fumbled, Trump signs an executive order, political stroke of genius, by the way. Trump signs an executive order, shuts down their ridiculous nonsense, which again was not about the kids, but instead about politics. And by the time there is a deal, the Democrats would have wished they would have taken the original deal because they're going to get a lot less than they were originally going to get. And you're going to see the left throwing fits, attacking people, justifying it all the while with hyperbolic language and of course this is justified. Civility, who cares about civility? We're dealing with the Third Reich. Just ridiculous, unsubstantiated, hyperbolic nonsense. And here's what it all boils down to. The left lost. They've never accepted it. They refuse to self-correct. And they continue to fill their mind with poison. Illegitimate presidency, Russians. We're morally the superior, whatever nonsense is going on in their mind. This is what they need to do. And I know this because the Republican Party went through it. Mitt Romney got shellacked, and the Republican Party looked in the mirror and adjusted. The Democrat Party has not done that. You're run by corporatists. You're run by establishment hacks. You got Hillary Clinton, Nancy Pelosi, and Chuck Schumer as the face of your party, for God's sake. You need to self-correct. That means you have to change, not the evil others that are messing up the leftist world. That is not politically appealing to your fellow Americans. So you're losing elections. You're going to continue to lose elections, by the way. Trump's all but sealed up the next election with this nonsense now. The Democratic Party has wasted 2 years of proposing an alternative narrative and an alternative policy direction for the United States of America by chasing down shadow puppets of their own imagination to justify why their radical leftism is still relevant and appealing. It's just if it wasn't for all these boogeymen under the bed. Self-correct. Self-correct. Don't call up and threaten to kill people's children. Don't kick people out of restaurants. None of that stuff. Self-correct. That's what you need to do. Period.